Welcome to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Vern Glenn, who will be here in a short time, CBS affiliate KPIX-TV in San Francisco, and well-known radio sports personality, Bruce McGowan. Today's show is going to be special because we have Dan Fost, not Fost like Yost, but Fost like Cost, who just wrote a book about the San Francisco Giants and got it published, and unfortunately got it published just before the 2014 series. So he has the 2010 and 2012 Giants in there. And at each commercial break, we're going to ask a sports trivia question. We're giving away vacations to the first 3 emails with the correct answer, and the vacations are not sponsored by the radio station, but by a Lighthouse Resort and Marina. The vacations are free. They're only request a $75 cleaning fee to cover the housekeeping expenses. Their website is lighthouseresortandmarina.com. By the way, you can listen to Sports Econ 101 on iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Sports Byline USA, CRN, and various terrestrial stations. And today's trivia theme is going to be random NBA questions. All right?
I like that. Yes.
You like that? Okay. And let's see what else we got here. This segment of Sports Econ 101 is sponsored by Pacific Private Money, providing mortgage investments that are currently yielding, get this, over 8% secured by real estate. The loan to value is only about 60%. Doesn't get any more conservative than that. Check them out at pacificprivatemoney.com. And Dan, you want to say hello real quickly here?
Yeah, Edward, thank you so much for having me.
All right, good. When we come back, we're going to get into this book that you wrote, because we're looking at the book. It's nice and thick, and it goes back to the early days of the Gothams, right?
Exactly, 1883 when they started.
Excellent. Yeah. Okay, this ought to be a lot of fun. And then we'll also talk about the Seahawks and the NBA owners losing money, crying poverty. Maybe they only made $1 billion this year.
Give me a break.
Yeah.
I'm not buying it.
And you're not buying it?
No.
Okay. We'll also talk about the Cowboys having concerns over Des Bryant. Get into that a little bit. All right, you're listening to Sports Econ 101. Stay with us. All right.
I thought that 49er game on Sunday, God, they were that offensive line, which has been their strength, is just horrible.
And Kaepernick says he got in.
And he was his typical dismissive, arrogant, well, not arrogant, but just rude, dismissive. I don't know why he has such antipathy for the media. You know, he's never had any problems with them. I think it's because he's just not a leader. I don't think he has that capability of being a leader. And because of that, I think he's a good athlete, but I don't think he'll ever be like a Montana Young or even a Jeff Garcia.
You know, I'd like to cover, after we talk about your baseball book and all that, remind me.
It's an interesting topic because I've talked to a lot of people who feel the same way who covered the team.
I don't know if you know, I'll just mention, but I just did a project for the Chronicle. It's going to come out in Sunday's paper. It's a 96-page full-color magazine.
Oh, really?
I bought that.
Season.
Yeah, I got that
Dynasty.
Yeah, Dynasty. I got that.
Cool.
Yeah, I bought that. I bought one for me and one for a friend of mine. So we're getting the package in the mail.
So there was the timing. And when my first Giants book came out in 2010, and in the spring, and then we updated it. We had new editions out
that's
in
funny. So you missed the 2010?
Missed the 2010.
Okay.
But then
we've
got 2 new editions on that. So it's been, the Giants do well, and they're the gift that keeps on giving for me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. You get to keep updating it. All right, let me just check the man here.
He's texting you?
He did. He is, he's going over there. That was
I couldn't believe there was traffic coming into San Rafael today. On the freeway all the way from, I was
Missouri Mill Valley.
Well, I was surfing at Cronkite Beach, and it was a breeze. I got from Cronkite Beach to San Rafael in 15 minutes. I'm thinking, I'm not going to have to call that. And then all of a sudden, boom, I get traffic coming into San Rafael.
Oh, wow.
And it was like 10 minutes, and that's when I called Ed to tell him I was going to be a little late. So, Edward, I'm sorry to call you Ed. Ed doesn't like being called Ed. I don't know anybody who's named Edward who doesn't like being called Ed, but
I'm just one of those guys.
He likes it. Sounds more dignified.
That's right.
Sounds more, I don't know, official.
Okay. Let's see. It's 3:14. Let's go ahead and do the second segment because it's a 9-minute 45 second, and we'll probably get done just because he's coming in. Okay. All right. Sports Econ 101 continues. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Bruce McGowan.
Yes, sir.
Vern Glenn is still on his way, that rascal.
He will be here.
Okay, we are in the studio here with Dan Fost, who wrote a book about the San Francisco Giants. And I'm going to guess, actually, that you are the lucky charm because you were saying just before we came back about the 2010, you first wrote the book in spring.
Exactly. Yeah, I didn't think of myself as a leprechaun, but I think the Giants ought to keep me around because it came out in spring of 2010, and of course that book was full of tales of heartbreak and woe and misery of what had afflicted them in all those years in San Francisco without winning the World Series, and then of course that year was that magical season where they won the World Series. I got to do a new edition. We then updated it again after the 2012 championship, and then this was an all-new book that came out this spring.
Wow.
This is different than the first one, then.
Yeah, the first one was called Giants Past and Present.
Oh, right, okay.
And that was organized as there was maybe 40 different chapters that were all thematic. So it was by the World Series, and it took a look at each chapter. Or the catchers, first baseman, pitchers.
Oh, I saw that book too. Yeah, there was a difference.
It took each of those topics from the 19th century through the present. This one is arranged chronologically with lots of sidebars and still lots of colorful art.
I like that one because I like the chronological part. So going back, you had the 54 series was the one that prior again to 2010 that they had won, and again they were in New York then. 62, you had McCovey just basically saying, I would love to have been remembered for the guy who hit the ball over Bobby Richardson's head.
Unfortunately, he caught it.
Yeah, exactly. And then you had the...
that Charlie Brown comic strip, if only McCovey had hit the ball.
Yeah, exactly. And then you had the 89 Earthquake series where they got swept 4 games by the A's.
I was covering that. That was just a weird series because once they got back, I think it was 10 days between games, and the energy was just not there. The A's had plenty of energy, but the Giants didn't. Not that they were going to win it anyway.
No, that was a great A's team.
That was a great A's team.
Yeah.
Well, the A's went to Arizona after the
They
earthquake,
did.
right? And the Giants stayed around, and they helped the community, helped dig out, and then paid the price for
Tony
it.
La Russa was so concerned because they had, you remember the year before, they had lost to the A's, or to the Dodgers.
Yep.
Been upset by the Dodgers.
Okay, and then you had 2002, which I'm still upset about.
Yeah, I was there. I had to cover that one.
The World Series that cannot be named.
Oh.
Yeah.
Dusty Baker handing the ball to Russ Ortiz. And, Sean Dunston told me a great story about that one. And he said he was a coach at the time. And he goes up into the clubhouse and he goes, I'm looking around and Mike Murphy's laying out the plastic to keep our belongings dry. And I'm having a cup of coffee. I'm walking back down. I'm thinking, this is my last game in the major leagues. And I'm finally going to win a World Series. He says, as I'm walking down the long tunnel underneath the stadium, I hear this roar, and the building starts to shake, and I'm thinking, this is not good.
Yeah.
He says, I walk into the dugout, I see the scoreboard, it says 5-3, and I see Spezio rounding third, and I'm going, holy S-H-I-T.
Thank you. The FCC doesn't like us to start.
That's right.
I'm smelling it out.
That's
okay.
right.
So how long did it take you to write the first book?
Well, in fact, the first thing I did, I was a reporter. In fact, it's funny to be on a sports business show because I was a business reporter at the Chronicle for 9 years. And as soon as I left in 2007, I started working with San Francisco Magazine on a story about the Giants and their 50th anniversary in San Francisco. And that I worked for months and went to a lot of the games, talked to a lot of the players, the former players, and people who've been around. And so that really led into this book. So it's kind of a hard question. I mean, it's probably the product of a year or two's worth of work to pull all that information together.
Seems longer than that because there's so much information in there.
I'm curious how you got some of these guys. I'm sure were more than willing to open up. But who are some of the more interesting people to talk to, both well known and perhaps obscure in San Francisco?
Mathewson didn't say a word.
I mean, I imagine you talk mostly to San Francisco Giants because most of the New York Giants are probably dead. But I mean, who are some of the older guys? Obviously the big names, but I mean, some of the guys that might have some interesting stories.
The best story I got was I talked to Darryl Spencer, who was a shortstop, and he was one of the people who had been on the team in New York and then made the move to San Francisco, and he told me. I was searching around for stories of how the Giants might be cursed or what it was in San Francisco, and he said, well, in '59 they were in a 3-team pennant race with the Dodgers and the Braves, and they and you may recall in '51, there was the Bobby Thompson home run, and now the story has come out in recent years that the Giants were stealing signs, and they had a whole system with a telegraph and buzzers and all this stuff at the Polo Grounds.
That's Leo DeRocher for you.
It was Leo DeRocher, and it was Herman Franks who later became the manager. And I guess
Yeah.
Herman then joined the team in '59. Bill Rigney was the manager. And Herman came out and he said, hey, I got this plan. We're going to steal signs. And all the players were good with it, except Al Worthington, who was a pitcher. He was from Alabama. He was from the Bible Belt. He had been to a Billy Graham rally at the Cow Palace that year. He had been born again. And he said, if you do this, I'm walking off the team. And the players said, oh, my. And Spencer said, we said, we can't have that. The word will get out. And it'll look terrible. And he said, morale just went through the floor. And the Giants collapsed in the home stretch and finished in third
Thank
place.
you, Al Worthington, wherever you are, for ruining my childhood. That's the first game I was telling Dan off mic, the first game I ever went to was in '59. The Giants were like in first or close to first place at the time. I remember them collapsing. I never, as a kid, you can't figure out why that happened.
Yeah, and I got a hold of Worthington, and he confirmed the story. And in fact, I think the same thing happened with him a few years later. I mean, the Giants immediately traded him in the offseason.
Yeah,
he was a pretty good pitcher too. He was a good reliever, good spot starter.
Right. Yeah, that's probably, like you said, that's probably what the morale was he was such a good pitcher. They didn't want to lose him as a pitcher.
It's a shame, Dan, probably you didn't get a chance to talk to Bill Rigney. I mean, obviously he's been dead about 10, 12 years, but I remember he told more stories about the Giants. He told me one, he said, Whitey Lockman walked up to him at spring training in '59, and he said, what do you think of our new kid, Willie McCovey? And he goes, he's pretty good. And then Whitey Lockman said, yeah, it's too bad he's a year away. And, Rigney looked at him kind of quizzically. He said, a year away from what? He goes, the Hall of Fame. That sounded like Bill Rigney.
That's great.
He was always telling stories like that.
Okay, so I got just kind of curious about the stealing signs. I mean, I'm kind of thinking, okay, runner at second base, he's looking at the catcher. I mean, who cares? I mean, that's part of the game.
It is part of the game. Everybody does it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't look. I mean, listen, you can steal bases.
So Al Worthington thought that was wrong. There was something morally wrong about that, huh?
Right. But apparently, and I guess it was even more underhanded than just if you're getting a guy on second base. I mean, it was positioning a guy out in center field with a telescope.
Yeah, that I could see as being a little. That to me.
Listen, I'm all is fair and love and war.
Kind of like this whole the whole Patriots video scandal.
Oh,
all that stuff.
Spygate.
Okay, that kind of stuff I can see is wrong. But just being a player, look, is everyone upset with Will Clark for being able to read the lips of?
Well, and also you got to still have to hit the ball. Even if you know a fastball is coming, you got to hit it.
Which is why when we were talking to somebody recently about Barry Bonds and the steroids, I said, listen, the one thing maybe you can talk about the competition of other players who didn't do steroids, but just in general, you still have to have a good eye. I said if I took steroids, I still wouldn't be as good as Barry Bonds. And the guys who are take steroids and become really buff, you can't just take steroids and then just have big muscles. You have to work it out.
There were plenty of people taking steroids in that era who were not household names.
Exactly.
Marvin Bernard, right? Was the report. There was plenty of these.
Bobby Estalella, Armando Rios. Yeah, they used to call them the Mighty Hydrants from in 1999, 2000. It was FP San Antonio. They're all Barry's little buddies. And they were little guys, and he supplied them. Did you ever talk to Barry at all, Dan?
No.
It's not hard to reach him, isn't it?
Well, I was there when I started reporting this that story for the magazine. I was there at the end of the '07 season, and it was right around the time when the Giants said they were done with Bonds and they weren't going to bring him back the next year. And so I got to see up close that media scrum following him around, getting nothing. Where he wouldn't talk to anybody.
He was really getting reticent towards the end. He was always kind of difficult, but the last couple of years he just became a curmudgeon.
Well, sure, and especially the press was all over him, right? I mean, it wasn't just even sports writers at that point. He was in federal court. It was a big story. So.
Yeah, that'll make your average go down a little bit.
Oh, the worst was when he trotted his kid out at spring training, and he said, "Look what you've done to me." It's like, Barry, we didn't do anything to you.
That's ridiculous. Okay, we're going to cut to our first commercial break. Here's the trivia question again. The theme is random NBA questions. Ready? Who led the league with 3.91 blocks per game in the 1994-95 season? And you will have heard of this player, so it's not too esoteric. Okay, I can go back to 1894 for basketball. Okay,
there was basketball.
There wasn't. Okay, the first 3 emails with the correct answer. There weren't even peach baskets.
Peach baskets.
Yeah. The first 3 emails with the correct answer are going to win a free 3-day 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Email Edward@sportsecon101.com. The answer to this question: who led the league with 3.91 blocks per game in the 1994-95 season? And don't touch that dial. Sports Econ 101 will continue.
I think it was Cookie Monster, wasn't it? The guy who always talked like this. He was from Africa, the big guy.
Manu?
No, it wasn't Manu. I'm trying to think what the hell the guy's name was. He was a good player.
I was going to guess Shaq.
Might have been Shaq. I was just thinking that this guy was a shot blocker, but I can't remember his name. But the players always referred to him as Cookie Monster because he talked like these voices and he talked like this. He was really funny. Big African guy from Central. I think he was from Zaire. But I cannot remember his name.
Well, I'll give you a hint.
Was Olajuwon playing around then? Was he?
He was. They won the.
Okay,
championship.
here's a hint. He wasn't a point guard.
Well, that's really helpful.
Yeah.
That's really helpful. Jeez. I'm going to say Cookie Monster, but I'm not going to remember the guy's name.
This isn't Sesame Street.
What's his name? It's an unusual name. It was one of those names you can't forget, and you'd know it if you follow basketball because he was pretty good.
Mutombo, was it?
Yeah, it was Dikembe Mutombo.
Yeah.
That's who I'm going to guess.
Seen those Geico ads with him? They're
These
hilarious.
are so funny.
He said that.
Yeah,
the Cookie
I love
Monster.
that figure.
Yeah.
Just like the guy from Seinfeld. Very bad.
Have you seen the Icky Woods commercial?
Yes.
That's pretty funny.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
I'm getting cold cuts.
Cold cuts. He looks like he's had a few cold cuts.
Yeah.
Icky Woods, that's a great name.
Let me just double check.
Dikembe Mutombo. Very nice guy, by the way.
Oh, yeah, it seems like a nice guy.
Yeah. NBA players, generally speaking, the baseball players I found are the most curmudgeonly, probably because they're around us more often, and they get tired of having to deal with the media instead of talking with their wives and kids. Whereas football and basketball players have been conditioned by the college experience.
Well, that's the other thing I was going to say was I always thought it was college.
It
Those
is.
baseball guys have not had that.
They're not sophisticated. They think the media is out to get them, and the smart ones, realize, hey, the media can help me. I'll make myself. I remember Gary Carter was like, God, he was a dream. He would talk after every game. He was only around for a year, but he was fun guy. Yeah.
Well, in fact, wasn't there a story that Aubrey Huff, he basically told the media, like, I'm being nice to you because this is my contract year, and next year you're on TV, and they all thought, oh, ha ha ha, he's being really funny, and then the next year he was a complete ass.
Yeah,
Really?
it's true. Yeah, that's Aubrey.
Oh,
He was a strange dude.
Well, yeah.
Well, obviously, then.
Yeah, really, after the 2010.
Yeah.
I think you had that thong on too tight.
Yeah. That's probably true.
I'm just texting and see if he's close.
Oh.
So let's see. When we come back, I didn't say that on the air. When we come back, anything's and then at the end we'll let you tell people how. Okay, he's at third and Lincoln.
Third Lincoln. Oh, he's close. He's only 2 blocks away.
I'll just stop away from
Are those apartments over there, Ed?
yes, they are.
Okay.
My niece used to live in one of them. They're kind
So
of
your daughter has a boyfriend you don't like.
Well, no.
What's the problem?
Okay, so here's the. Shh, don't tell anybody.
Okay.
She went to Oxford in England for
Right.
a study abroad program,
Right.
and then she kind of met a lot of people. Whatever. She comes home, and then this guy basically says, "Oh, I'm abused," and he lives in Maryland,
Uh-huh.
and he says, and I want to come out and look at schools, and I need you to help me, or blah blah blah. So
You just kind of befriended her?
yeah, and so Sarah tells me, she says, she goes, Dad, this guy, he wants to come out, but he's got no place to go, he's being abused. And I said,
What do you mean abused? Like his parents abused him?
yeah.
When he was a kid?
Yeah, he's a year younger, he's 16. And
He's telling her this?
What's that?
He's telling her this without even knowing her that well?
Yeah, and so,
That's kinda
he
weird.
said, so she comes and tells me, 2020 hindsight, if I would have known things, I would have handled things differently, but she says, could he like come and stay with us? And I said, Sarah, that's not a good idea. If he's being abused, seriously, he should, if he can't talk to his parents, talk to some kind of authority.
Sure.
I said, we don't know this guy. No.
He could be some kind of psycho.
Yeah, I said, Had I known this was the situation, I would have said, sure, no problem. I'll pick him up at the airport. Pick him up at the airport, and I'll drive him to Daly City and drop him off in some ghetto and say, good luck.
Yeah.
Anyway, so without telling us, he comes. She picks him up.
Brings him to the house?
No, there was an abandoned house not far from us, up the hill. She harbors him there for a week.
An abandoned
in the
house?
middle of the night, he comes and takes a shower down at our pool house.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so we are totally clueless about all this stuff.
Why would she put him in an abandoned house?
Because she knew that we weren't going to allow him to come to stay.
I mean, that's dangerous.
Oh yeah, I know. But thinking, hello. So she set up a tent in there and brought him
here in
food.
Centerville.
Yeah. And so.
How long ago did this happen?
In July.
Okay.
July, August. So actually early August. So what ends up happening is we get a call out of nowhere from this kid's mother saying that she tracked down the phone GPS and she said, she was able to figure out like our, Sarah and then our phone number and all this stuff. So we're all, you've got to be kidding. But I said, I know the ad. She goes, it's somewhere in this address. And I go, I know that address. And I go, I think there's an abandoned house there. I said, I'll get back to you. So Sarah happened to be going to a concert thing in San Francisco, and I drive him to this place, and sure enough, there's the whole tent, there's food, and the kid's there.
In front of the house?
In the house. In this abandoned
How did he
house.
break into the house?
The door's open. It's a really weird, it's a nice house.
There's not many
There's
abandoned
nothing in
houses
there.
in
I know. And the pool is still crystal clear, so someone's taking care of it.
Yeah.
So anyway, I look at the situation and.
Did you say anything to the kid?
Oh yeah.
What did you say to him?
I said, you're lucky I'm not going to beat the hell out of you. That's the first thing I said. But no, the first thing I said, I'm not going to hurt you, so don't be scared. Okay. Anyway, so we get the kid's mother on the phone, and he is basically like, I don't trust you, to her. I mean, he was actually fairly respectful, but, the whole idea was we got to get this kid back home.
Yeah.
So the first thing was going to be, we were going to bring him to the airport to put him on a plane.
Right.
But we decided that's not a good idea because he may, just not get on it.
Yeah.
Right? So she says, I'll come out tomorrow and get him.
Good idea.
So we did that. In fact, no, what I decided to do that night, well, first of all, I picked up Sarah and we told her, we're picking you up right now from the concert because we found out about this thing. She told me like this, right? So I ended up calling the police for a couple of reasons. One, I wanted to scare the shit out of this kid. But the other reason was, if anything happened to that kid that night, if I was the mother, I would sue me because I knew of this situation, didn't know anything about it, right? So the mother comes and gets him. And this is where I made my second mistake, was she ends up saying, she's a little bit of a mealy mouse type thing, but because he wanted to come out to like a boarding school or something like that, right? So she ends up saying, well, Chris just wants to say goodbye to Sarah. And I said, no, that's not a good idea, And then just, well, we think maybe this is, you talk to your daughter and your wife, whatever. And I should have at that point also said, no, just get the hell out of California, But I didn't. I talked to Sarah and even I said, because I was thinking I might regret, like, if I just never said anything and then they found out that they could have said goodbye, maybe that wasn't a good thing.
Yeah.
So I talked to Eva and Sarah and I said, do you want a situation where he can just say goodbye to you and leave? And they're all, okay, right? Well, he comes, they say goodbye, but then, the lady's nice and we're having cookies and stuff. And Eva's being a little bit too friendly. And I'm going, what are you doing? I mean, I'm a nice guy, but when it comes to this, you got to go, hello, red flags. And this kid was just lying and stealing and cheating and all this really, really bad stuff. So what ends up happening is, basically say, okay, now this should be the end of it. Well, they go back home. They find a military school for him in Virginia, which is probably perfect for him. Little do I know, they're still communicating.
What, by text?
By text, and and then it gets Skype, all this kind of stuff, and then.
Was there a relationship going on?
Well, yeah.
A physical relationship?
Yes, unfortunately.
And that's where it started, was when he came out, probably.
Exactly. Right, and girls
Or
are
in
emotional.
England. She knew him in England.
She did, yeah, but nothing happened in England. It just when it came out here. And then, while I was gone for a business trip, which I never go on, the kid came out with his mother to go look at schools for like his
in the Bay Area.
In the Bay Area, and decided to stop by. And again, Eva just being a little bit too nice allowed them, this connection again or whatever. And then he goes back home, but I end up I can't remember what happened, but I end up saying, Sarah, this is not good. And then I look at this text and I go, and I mean, I hit the roof, and so I am calling this kid, and I said, because Sarah started doing things that she would normally not have done, and so I ended up telling this kid, I said, this is it, you're done. I said, I want you out of my life, out of my daughter's life, stay the hell away. But I love your daughter, and all this stuff. And I can tell he's 16 years old.
Right,
what kind of sincerity can they have, right?
Yeah.
But I told him, I said, listen, if you really love my daughter, I said, she's only 17 and you're only 16. She has aspirations of going to college, and she's got the grades for it and all this stuff. Let her grow up. And in 5 years, when you're out of college too, if you've changed, because he kept telling me he changed, right? Well, no, there was all this stuff he didn't change. And, it's like, hey, in 5 years, if you guys still want to see each other, you know what's going to happen. We're going to find other people, right? But he told, well, I can't do that here. I said, no, that's going to happen. Well, this kid ends up calling his mommy, and she calls me, because she wants, the thing is, Sarah's the best thing that ever happened to him, right? Because he's a loser, right? And she knows that, we're a decent family and all this stuff, so she wants to keep the relationship, right? So she calls to leave a message to say, we have to talk about these issues. So I get on the phone to her and I said, Roberta, I said, you listen to me. There is no relationship. It's over. In fact, I'm deleting you and your son. And I talked for about 3 minutes straight about this. I said, your son's not a good influence on my daughter. And blah, blah, blah. And she goes, well, now that you've had your time to talk, it's my turn to talk. I said, no. Or she said, you're going to listen to me. And I said, no, I'm not. It's over. Boom. And I hung up. And then and in fact, I warned the kid when I texted him with Sarah's phone. And I said, stay away. And if you don't, I'm going to get the authorities involved.
Right.
And then he continued for like another day. So what I ended up doing yesterday was I called his military school.
Oh, he's been calling recently.
Yeah. Yeah. This
sat down with Sarah and just said, what is wrong?
Yeah, and she even said, Dad, I guess deep in her real being, she realized, she realizes, she goes, yeah, I guess you and Mom wouldn't put up all these red flags if there really wasn't a problem. I said, that's right. I said, Sarah, you've had a sort of a boyfriend, last year, and I said, we didn't put it, there was no red flags.
Yeah.
We didn't say, no, you're not allowed to date until you're 50 years old. It wasn't like that. So, hey, there it is. So I called the school, and I talked to some sergeant.
Hey, how you doing, man?
All right.
See ya. Sure, dude.
I said, listen, here's the deal. And I started laying out all of the bad things that this kid did. And I said, but I want to make it really clear, I do not want you kicking him out of that school. Because if you do, he's going to find his way to California.
Yeah.
So you
got more problems.
That guy?
That guy.
He's still at large?
Soon not to be at large.
He's not bothering you anymore, right?
Well, to my knowledge, I have Sarah's phone, so there is no.
She has no phone.
She has
no
phone
communication.
No communication.
I bet she doesn't like that.
No, she doesn't like that. And today, I told her, she's got to get a job.
Yeah.
So she's hopefully going to get a job at Pizza Antica.
Oh,
which is nice.
Near me.
Yeah.
Great.
Just for that reason, I said you got to be near Vern.
She's still going to high school?
Yeah, she's a senior.
Which high school?
The Bay School, and she's getting a 4.0. She's got the best grades she's ever gotten.
Well, sometimes
too old for Zach.
Sometimes girls with who are very bright, very intelligent, make bad choices, just like girls who are not so bright.
Yeah.
So it happens.
All right, where are we? Did you do the open?
We did the opening.
Okay, good.
And we did the first segment.
Did the first segment.
We did the first segment. Okay. So
did Sandoval come up?
No.
Did Mad Bum on Jimmy Fallon come up? Okay.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
All right.
Gave him underwear. Did you hear about that?
I have a pair.
Yeah, he gave him underwear.
Yeah, have you seen this?
No.
Oh man, Edward.
Well,
dude,
I live in a cave.
It's viral.
That's pretty funny. He gave Jimmy Fallon underwear.
And I'll probably run after this segment.
Okay.
I'll probably actually just run out there.
That's on the back.
Mad Bum.
Is it Mad Bum? Did he?
What did they say?
Something about supporting
Support
your junk or whatever. I don't know, something.
That's funny.
Yeah. Came out the day of the parade. They were handing
Okay, so let's
supporting greatness.
There you go.
That's what it said.
So this will be good because Dan has to leave, and we'll have just.
Dan will be ships passing through the night.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do it.
Okay. All right. We'll get into our. We're going to see if Vern can answer the first question.
Oh yeah.
Go. What's the first question?
You'll
All
learn
right.
as soon
All
as I
right.
do it. Okay. There you go. Sports Econ 101 continues. Edward Brown, your host, and we finally have Vern Glenn in the studio. Live.
In the flesh, man, right off the bus. I was without car today, so public transit
There you
got
go.
me here.
In Marin County.
You hear that, America? Yeah, we have public transit here.
It works.
Yeah.
Just like the National Enquirer, when they say, celebrities, they're just like us. They tie their shoe. Vern takes a bus sometimes.
I'll have you know, not seen here, my left shoe is untied.
Oh.
So,
Okay, and we also have, of course, Bruce McGowan, and our special guest is Dan Fost. Before we get back to Dan, though, here was our first trivia question.
yeah, lay it on me. I missed it. What
You
is
missed
it?
NBA questions. All right?
Okay, go.
Who led the league with 3.91 blocks per game in the 1994-95 season?
And I said Cookie Monster, Dikembe Mutombo, but it was just a wild guess. Either that or maybe Elijah won.
Wait, what was your guess?
Cookie Monster, Dikembe Mutombo.
Yeah, that would have been a good guess.
That is the correct answer.
Oh, great.
Very good.
Just
Another
a
commercial.
wild guess. I call him Cookie
No,
Monster.
no.
One of the nicest guys you'd ever want to meet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, so Dan has been explaining to us about his great book here, Giants Baseball Experience. He is the lucky charm, by the way, because he wrote the first one in the spring of 2010, and they won the World Series. Did you also update it in 2011?
So yeah, updated in 2011.
Close.
Right.
Not 12.
Yeah,
And
right.
then-
What happened?
The next
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, and then here goes ahead and finishes off this one, 2014, and of course there's no 2014 World Series in this book.
Not in this book, but then I did the Dynasty product for the Chronicle. I wrote that whole magazine. We worked on it all through the World Series, and I just needed the Giants to do their part so that we could actually publish the thing, and that'll be out in Sunday's paper.
Even as you were crafting this for 2010 and 12, I mean, you scratch your head, just go, man, I can't believe these guys are doing this.
Oh
You know?
yeah. It didn't feel like one of these, like you look back at these old Giants teams that were loaded with Hall of Famers, and you don't look at the Giants of today. I mean, maybe Buster Posey will get there, or Bumgarner. Now it looks like these guys might be on that kind of trajectory. But even a guy like Lincecum that we may have thought was on a Hall of Fame path is maybe not.
And for sure, Bochy, he's already written his ticket.
Right,
so.
exactly.
Why do you think, and this is maybe out of the school of East Coast bias, but why do you think the Giants never get picked to do anything in the postseason?
That's a very good question. I don't know. I don't know if it's East Coast. I mean, certainly people were looking at the Dodgers and thought there was the team that.
Yeah, but that's LA. They know LA.
Yeah, but look at the payroll. I mean, look at the players they had. Here you kind of you pick and choose a few pretty good players, but there always seems to be like again, you look at the Dodgers, you go, okay, please, looks like he could potentially be a superstar. Clayton Kershaw, Adrian Gonzalez, boom. There's all these big name players.
Yeah, but in the spirit of the big markets, isn't San Francisco the stepchild of all the biggies, of all the big markets?
We're so far out here too. We're out on the left coast.
I feel like if it's Thanksgiving, they're at the kiddie table, and they don't.
That's okay. That's good.
They don't sit at the big ones with New York, Chicago, Philadelphia, Los Angeles. They don't get a seat there.
No.
And that's what helps. And I think also, you mentioned Bochy going to the Hall of Fame. I mean, he does not seem like a Hall of Fame manager, like a Tony La Russa or a Joe Torre or somebody who's very comfortable with the media or talking about himself or he's not flashy. And maybe that's part of it. The team's personality is the guys like Buster Posey. Probably one of the worst interviews you could find, right? I mean, these guys don't
says
say
nothing.
Never gives you Even Bumgarner, it was kind of amazing. He was going on Jimmy Fallon. I mean, he's no Brian Wilson.
Well, I know TV. I mean, somebody got a hold of Bum and say, "Look, man, you're doing Fallon now. You you got to kind of trade bars with him just a little bit, even though Fallon did most of the talking.
Right.
You got to
He gave him a couple of lines.
At least be like the Chevy guy who gave him the MVP trophy.
Oh my God, that was the most uncomfortable exchange. Okay, oh my
What was
God.
wrong with that guy? Was he just nervous, you think?
He was the local Chevy guy,
Okay.
a Kansas City Royals fan, and his dream was to be able to give the keys to a Royals player.
So he was disappointed.
So he's thrown in there, and he gets up there, and from the information I got, he took little cards with him just to kind of remind him in case he forgot. In that moment, because I've been there, I've been in front of the camera. In that moment, he realized, my God, there's 50 million people watching, and that's a powerful thing.
And I'm not giving it to a Kansas City Royal.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron Andrews, Mad Bum, they're up there breathing normally, and this guy, he sounds like he walked up a flight of stairs.
He was scared.
Yeah.
He was scared.
Oh, yeah.
It's a little daunting. It is a little daunting.
And maybe that did happen too. I mean, maybe he was all of a sudden, hey, where's the guy with the keys? Get over there.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't know what happens.
Well, he was built like Chris Farley. I'll give him that.
I got before Dan leaves, I got to ask about the 60s. The team that I grew up with in the 60s should have won a lot more, and of course, only one team won a pennant. What did you talk to a lot of the guys from the 60s? I mean, Mays, McCovey, Davenport, any of these old players? And they have any good stories about that team?
Oh yeah, well, and Tito Fuentes put a lot of blame. Actually, we were talking about Herman Franks earlier, and he said he felt like Herman blew it, didn't let them steal enough bases, and didn't, obviously there were so many different things that went wrong. And in that era, of course, it was the era. Unlike this team, I think the modern teams have the extra hurdles to go through in the postseason. But they get to the postseason, and those Giants teams would have been in the playoffs every year in the 60s. There was all those, 5 straight second-place finishes, and you get nothing for that back then. So,
well, I still like Tito Fuente still has the most flamboyant at bat. Remember that he would tap the handle and come back to him.
I remember Herman Franks. The first time I ever interviewed the guy, he's sitting in his office with no pants on and his uniform shirt on. He's scratching his, where. And then he goes, "Oh,
his
hi,
junk."
His junk. He's scratching his junk. That's right. And he reaches out and he goes, "Oh, hi, how you doing?" One tries to shake my hand.
now
With his big
fist bump got invented.
Yeah.
Invented the fist
Oh
bump.
my God! I was like a 23-year-old kid. I go, "This is what I'm going to deal with." Jeez.
That was a test to see if you're going to stay.
Oh
being
my
a reporter there.
Well, Brucey, if it's an itch, you got to scratch it.
At least keep your pants on.
Yeah.
Hey,
that was an image I was really better off before.
I'm just remembering those days. My early days in covering baseball.
I got 2 more for a guest here before he gets out of here. When I was covering the parade, and all the players were on a double-decker bus. We couldn't get to them, but as guys were going by, like Tito Fuentes, Orlando Cepeda, Barry Bonds, as we drive, I was just wondering, how do these guys really feel about these young players that went out and brought the city something that they just could not.
Oh, good question.
I was talking to Juan Marichal after Game 5, and he was just reveling in Bumgarner's performance in that game, and Juan said, people kept coming up to him and saying, "Oh, do you feel bad? You never got a ring?" And he says, "Hey, I got a ring. The Giants have been giving me these rings for this."
Yeah.
And he was living through these players.
Did you get a ring because Barry was in spring training helping and stuff?
I think he gets a ring.
Yeah, Barry got a ring.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's because he was helping. What's Juan doing?
I think the Giants give those things
He's
out like Halloween.
Yeah.
Oh, they give him out to some of their. They give him out to the broadcasters. They give him out to some of the talk shows.
If you're under the employ of the Giants at all, you get one.
Or if they like you.
Yeah.
If Larry Bear likes you.
And Juan Marichal's he's kind of the ambassador of the organization anyway.
And
The ambassador go well.
There's a talk show guy on the weekend who works in San Francisco named Marty Lurie. He got a ring. And he got to drive his car in the parade.
Yeah, I saw him. Going by. He was driven. He was a big shot.
Did you get a ring?
I got a phone call. I didn't get a ring. I didn't get a ring.
Where's our ring?
And I'm curious, and this is a thought provoker. Again, this is one to chew on. 2010, 2012, 2014. Dynasty?
Or do you have to win in a row to be a dynasty?
Right. Well, yeah. I mean,
everybody's got a different opinion.
On the Chronicle, we have this Dynasty magazine coming out on Sunday, and there was a lot of debate. Dynasties don't finish in third place. 10 games under 500, which the Giants did in 2013. But on the other hand, the Giants have done something. You know, they've won those 3 titles in 5 years. I mean, the Big Red Machine in the '70s never did that. I mean, a lot of those teams, those A's teams that went to 3 straight series in '88, '89, '90. I mean,
Dodgers never did that in L.A.
In a way, it's an
Yeah.
academic point, right? I mean, who really cares? They know what they've done. I mean, they're not steamrolling everybody.
But also players keep like Juan Uribe hasn't been with the team for a couple of years. You
Right.
know, and
And
Hunter
Pag-
Pence just came on a couple of
Right,
years
and
ago.
Pagano didn't
what
play
he's-
this time
Yeah.
around. I mean, he played the season.
Yeah,
but-
they
I
make
think
those
there's
changes.
There's 9 guys who were on the 2010 team, right? And most
Yeah.
of them are, the bulk of them are the relievers, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's,
Right. I guess you could say what? Wait, Bruce. Yankees 96 to 01. Maybe the last
That's
like
kind of, it
legitimate-
depends on
Yeah.
what you define as
They
a
went,
dynasty.
they went to 5 in a row
Yeah.
and won 4 of them.
By today's standards, the National League does not have a dynasty team since the Cardinals in the late 40s, but you really can't even call them a dynasty because they played during the war years when rosters were depleted. So I would say the Giants qualify as a dynasty. It's just not in the traditional sense of winning every year. I mean,
Well, let's put it this way: with your favorite adult beverage, it's a nice topic.
it is a
Don't you
fun
think?
topic.
Well, especially
Or your favorite Giants baseball experience book.
There you
Exactly.
go.
Well,
Thank
Where
you.
do we find this book anyway?
With
Well,
Willie
all
Mays on the
books-
cover, by the way.
all Bay Area bookstores. And it's online. It's on Amazon. I've got a website, giantsexperience.com, with all the links.
all for the amazingly low price of.
Well, it retails for $35. You'll see it as low as $22 at Costco or at Amazon.
Oh,
fair
Christmas
enough,
gift
yeah,
under
there
the
you go.
tree.
So,
Yeah.
Nice
very
photos,
good.
by the way,
it's a
too.
big, it's a big coffee table book. It's 200 pages. It's got all these pictures going back to the 19th century.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool.
It is good.
Okay, Dan Fost, thank you so much for joining us in the studio here. And we're going to cut to our second commercial break here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, Dan, we go all the way back 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Actually, I
Wait.
used to see you at Little League games in Mill Valley.
Oh, yeah?
My kid was on Terry McSweeney's team.
Oh,
Hold
yeah.
on, maybe we go back. Bruce, and then we go back like 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's right.
Here's the question. Okay, who became the first high school player, we're talking basketball, who was the #1 overall pick to skip college and be drafted in the NBA?
Oh, I have that.
Okay, the
Yeah.
first high school player who was the #1 overall pick. All right, don't touch that dial because Sports Econ 101 will continue.
The Kobe?
No.
Moses
Malone, man.
Yeah,
Fo,
Moses
fo, fo.
Malone.
I just,
Moses Malone.
I just got a text from T-Mac on the way up here because his youngest son and my middle son are like really tight,
Oh, great.
and so they were trying to get him on the same CYO basketball team. Didn't work out, but yeah,
Oh, good. Well, tell
Jack
him- yeah,
McSweeney's
tell him
over all
hi.
the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Terry, we're shifts passing of the night because he's in San Jose all the time.
Yeah.
working for NBC. But good dude.
Yeah.
Good dude. I can
He
hit
is-
his
he is
house with
great
a
guy.
driver, 5-wood.
Oh,
pitching
on
wedge.
Walnut.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got some good friends who live right down the street
Yeah,
there.
great.
But I haven't played golf in so long, but then I played in this tournament. Kind of a fun.
It's the only time I get a chance to play.
Tournament?
Man, I was
Nice
I
to
was
see you, man.
really,
Good to see you,
I was
Bruce.
really, really happy. I was hitting the ball literally 260 on a fly straight.
Wow.
Good.
I couldn't
That's
chip
impressive.
worth a damn.
It's okay.
And my putting was like this and this.
Can I leave this with you?
Chicks
I
take
would
the long
love to have
So,
this.
great.
Thank you so
Great.
much. I
That's a
was
great
wanting
book.
to look through this and
Look at great pictures.
I mean, because this is the kind of stuff I really relish.
Yeah, my
Thank you very much.
my
Good luck
middle
with
son,
all that, with Sarah and all
I have to
that.
pick up my yes.
I'll let you know how it turns
like
out.
that.
When you see
Yeah.
more gray hair, it didn't work out.
No. All right.
Bad news with it.
All right, great. Thanks again,
All
Dan
right.
Bennigan. So
Yeah.
this,
And so is
I
there a
don't-
spot where I can make a phone call, or
Yeah, you wanna just do it right here?
Can I do it
Yeah.
right here?
Yeah,
All
there's
right.
all you have to do is just.
Slide on down to this one.
I got my.
There you go, my
Oh yeah,
friend.
so I'll just go ahead and close this so you can have some privacy.
Oh.
Yeah, the car I normally my car I normally drive is also my news car, and the engine blew.
Oh, geez.
So,
Blew up.
Yeah, just I last used it like last Thursday. I had to go to the 49ers and the Raiders. Drove great,
Uh-huh.
no problem. Just had like a little tick 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 thing, and it was a head or something like that. And anyway, I just drove it and parked it outside the building, and then the next morning. Well, that night I anchored that night, and I got in, and it was just fighting me. It was just like missing. It was like it was just, and I was like, man, what is going on? I don't think I can drive this thing home. But
Who's
so I,
mechanic?
So yeah, and then the check engine light came on, and I was like, man, I ain't dealing with this. So the next day, I called when you have a company car, you have to call the shop steward.
Oh, it's the company car. That's
Yeah,
right.
and so he took it around there, and they called him and said, yeah, the engine's dead. So they have to. So I'm without that car for about a week.
What year?
While they put it on. This is
That's nice that they give you a car though to use. That's great.
Well, they had. Well, they almost have to because I'm always
always
going straight to the store from home.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, it's
just
trying to get there in time.
In the car, yeah.
Yeah. So
how were you getting from here then?
I took the bus up here. I'll take the bus back, $2, and then just go for home. But the true test will be tomorrow when I go to work. I have to try and get in another car once I get to work. And
can you get to work with your own car?
Yeah, because the 4 comes right in front of the 4 comes like right at the 2 a.m. club.
Oh, you just take the bus.
And it's an express. It takes you straight to Broadway and Battery.
But you can't take your car to the city?
Well, I don't have. We only have one car, and Nicole has it.
Oh, okay, I see.
And she's got to get.
I take you to the sub, but I got the scooter, and I don't have a second helmet.
I can give you a ride. My wife wants me to come home right away after the show because she wants to have an early dinner.
Oh, boy, let's.
I will take a lift to the depot though.
That's no problem.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, indeed. I was telling Edward I'm so mellow after my time in the water today. I had such a good time out there. Good waves.
Tasty
Tasty
We've
waves.
been having a bodega. Those guys.
Oh, was there a bite out there?
Oh no, the guard flipped over and 3 out of 4 people died.
What?
10-foot waves.
Ooh.
In Bodega Bay?
Wow.
Wow. Stuff.
Don't clear that.
All right, guys, ready?
Yes.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Sports Econ 101 is continuing. Edward Brown, your host. Vern Glenn.
Hey.
Bruce McGowan here. Second trivia question. Basketball is the theme. Who became the first high school player who was a #1 overall pick to skip college and be drafted to the NBA?
My first guess was Kobe Bryant, but it's not.
I'm going Moses Malone.
Yeah.
And both of you would be wrong.
No.
Who was it?
Who was it?
Kwame Brown.
Brown,
Kobe
who was
Brown.
picked by Michael Jordan.
That's right.
Of Wizards.
And he played a long time too, didn't he? He played he was a decent player.
Didn't he go to the Lakers also?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
okay.
he was a
But
decent player.
that was the first one
Kwame Brown?
because he wasn't the first one to skip high school.
That's a good
But he was
question.
the first one to skip high school being
The #1 overall pick.
That is a good question. Nobody
That's
would
a good
ever
one.
get that one. Yeah.
Whoops, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that Dan is gone, that was very interesting though, talking about the Giants.
I'm telling you, we haven't talked about the Giants. To me, that is one of the great stories in Bay Area sports history because the other 2 teams, Vern, you had the feeling that they had a great chance. This team, when they got to the playoffs, I thought, when they beat Washington, I thought, wow, they've got a great chance. And then when they get to the 7th game, it was all bets are off.
I just thought there was just no way that they had any business doing what they did in the postseason. I just
in retrospect, yeah.
Well,
just shaking my head.
But the thing is, you
so somebody rolls up to you and says, hey, Giants, man, they're going to go through these plays. They're going to go to the 7th game of the World Series. No Kane, essentially no Lincecum, rash of injuries.
In the sixth game, they get shut out 10-0.
Yeah,
right?
and there are 2, 3, and 4 starters, Hudson, Vogelsong, and the other guy. They were all below 500.
Here's the question: by the time this show airs, will Pablo Sandoval be in a Giants uniform?
I think he's going to re-sign with the Giants. I really do. And he showed up at the Niners game the other day with Brian Sabian and Bruce Bochy and one other teammate. I think it wasn't Bumgarner. It was Posey. And they were all hanging out watching the game. And I was thinking, that's good. That's a good sign.
Well, he's a really good guy.
He is a good guy.
He's a good guy. I would be surprised. I think they may do what they did with Juan Uribe. Just kind of say, why
bring Juan Uribe back?
He's better than Juan Uribe.
Oh yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He is. I'm just sort of thinking that's what they do with third baseman.
Yeah. I mean, they're not going to find a better one.
Edward, it's safe to say you're the only one in this room that could probably buy the Giants. So you're good with numbers. How many years and what do you give them? Just for fun.
Listen, he was definitely Mr. October for sure.
Yeah.
He still looks like he's got.
And he's 28. He's 28 years old.
Is that all he is?
Yeah.
He's never had people complain about his weight.
He's 28.
He's never been injured because of his weight. The weight has never hurt his play. People talk about it. He's a big guy.
Yeah,
He's kind of soft. I mean, look at Prince Fielder. Nobody complains about his weight.
I wouldn't take him. I wouldn't take Ryan Howard either.
Well, maybe he'll be dogged by problems later, but right now he's a healthy player. He plays well. I'd give him 5 years and $90 million.
$590?
Yeah, I give him 16 a year. That's probably what he's going to ask for.
I don't think I'd give him more than a 2-year contract. I don't think.
Really?
That's me.
You got to give him more than that.
Lose him.
I would not want to lose this.
Listen,
guy.
I love the guy, but
who are you going to replace him with? Some rookie? Some journeyman? Chase Headley?
No.
All right, I give him 5 and 100.
Okay. 5 and 100. Woo.
I give him 5 and that's
20 a million a year. Wow.
Give him 5 and 100, but
incentives maybe.
5th year's a team option.
Okay.
And with a buyout.
Okay.
And I don't give him the no trade because if things go south, and I got to deal him to an American League team.
That sounds like a fair deal.
He'd be a good DA.
That sounds fairer than what I offer.
Oh, and how about this? Not that he would go for it. Maybe some kind of a weight clause in there because as he gets older, he's just only going to get heavier. I mean, we all do.
Well, he took some weight off. Was it last year? And he played with the weight gone.
Then he said his mom came to visit and it came back.
Well, he likes the heavy foods.
Well, one of the things I appreciated was he wasn't swinging every crazy pitch.
Yeah.
You notice that? And I like the fact that Brandon Belt started to swing at the first pitch.
Yeah.
Because these pitchers they knew that Brandon Belt never swings at the first pitch, and every first pitch was right down the middle.
It was great. Also, he also got some key base hits from the right side. I'd like to see him just give up hitting from the right side, though.
Yeah. Okay, let's kind of move on here a little bit.
Makes him more valuable.
Yeah.
Okay, so we had here. This was a couple weeks ago. Over 1,500 athletes at UNC reveal academic fraud.
Yeah, it's a big scandal, man. Roy Williams might be in hot water.
University of North Carolina, you're talking about.
Chapel Hill.
Chapel Hill, yeah.
Can you imagine not showing up and still getting A's and B's?
Yeah, but
they do that for the girls volleyball players and the guys, water polo players.
Yeah, but how many
1,500. I mean, that's 1,500 athletes.
How many programs at the other 250 Division I schools are going? Whew, man, I'm glad they didn't come after us.
Yeah, I mean, if this is happening at UNC, where is it not happening?
Well, it's happening everywhere.
See, I hate to say it. This is why I'm kind of down on college sports. I don't follow college sports at all anymore because I find it's very hypocritical. They always talk about the sanctity of amateurism, and yet they're trying to make money hand over fist with all these TV deals. At least the pros, there's no pretension, And in college, to me, it's just like they make these kids into deities. And they're college students, and then the kids want to be paid. Come on, you're getting a free scholarship.
It's all about making money, man. Yeah. It's all about the brand. I mean, ask Penn State. Look what happened to them.
Oh, yeah.
That's just the game.
When a college player gets hurt and then can't fulfill his dream of being a pro.
These guys, they all have marketing. They change their uniform. They have an element of black in the uniform because that's cool and that's hip, man, and that sells. That's just the game.
Yeah.
That's the merchandising game.
It's become that way too, much more so than it was 15, 20 years ago.
And it ain't going away.
It is not going away. It's America.
Too much money. When some of these stadiums can fit 100,000 people.
Except for Levi Stadium, it seats 70,000, but only 40,000 show up. You see this game recently? I went to the 49er game Sunday at halftime. All the good seats across the way, and it was a nice day, 64 degrees, were half empty.
But those seats were in the sun, weren't they?
Yeah, but so
it's
64 degrees.
Yeah, well, maybe it feels like 80.
Yeah, but where do they go? Where do they go? Do they go hide under the stands and they can watch
there's that little arcade area between that level and the higher level, and that's where they go.
They go to get the margaritas and sit there and watch the HD TV.
Hell yeah, man! If you got a season ticket on the shady side, you're
something though. The Seattle fans, they stood in the rain. They're standing the whole game.
I was just there,
and they're standing in the rain the entire game, yelling their lungs out. And the 49er fans are a bunch of wimps who go hide under the cover of some, so they can. I'm not a fan of that.
Would they be standing in the rain if they were 0-7?
Yeah, good question.
Good point.
It'll be interesting when the Raiders play this weekend. Are the Raiders going to have a standing ovation for their team when they come out to play Denver?
Well, it's Denver showing up. That's a big draw, and it's Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
There you go, and you'd be there whether or not you get paid for it, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
darn right.
yeah.
See, Seattle though, it almost always rains.
It
Actually,
does.
last time I was there,
They
it
packed
was
that
great.
I had a good time though. I was up there 2 days, and it was
That's a-
overcast most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looked
Fun
like there was a
city.
threat of rain, and then it did rain. Also, it was kind of a steady drizzle, not too bad.
Yeah.
That's a good underrated city, man.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
a great-
It is. I went to the business meeting there.
they got some
right on the
great
border.
restaurants.
Yes.
Oh my gosh!
It was
Yeah.
it was awesome.
I got to ask Vernon, though, what do you think of the Levi's Stadium crowd? I mean, you've been down there to see a 49er game, haven't you?
Yeah, of course.
What-
Yeah,
what-
multiple times.
Yeah, what do you think of that crowd? It just seems to me like it's
Nothing, Bruce. Nothing surprises me as to what I expected in relation to what I.
Valley, my friend.
Yeah, it's even more blasé than
Yeah.
it was when it was a Candlestick.
But
and
at
it's
least at
even
Candlestick, you had some, passion and some.
Oh sure,
some
but
history.
this is Silicon Valley, so you're gonna get let's have a margarita.
Well, every one of those people sitting in those seats from I'd say the 40-yard line to 40-yard line could probably buy a piece of the 40
Yeah.
yard.
Yeah.
I'm just
Right,
watching the tailgate thing beforehand is weird too because there's just not that many parking lots around the stadium. Everybody walks through this huge office park. It's just a weird vibe. I'm not a big fan of it. Not a big fan. But then again, hey, this is the new age, so who am I to?
That's where they play, Bruce. It's where
That's
we
right.
got to go.
That's a
It's where we got to go to work.
And I'm resentful. I have to drive 60 miles to go there.
I'll tell you one thing. That's pretty cool. In the working press room downstairs, they've got a fridge that's just stocked with bottled water and sodas and whatnot, and in the bottom, Miller Lite, baby.
All right.
In the fridge.
In the fridge. Well, I know
Stocked.
there's ice cream. There's Haagen-Dazs ice cream and Nutty
hungry.
Buddies in the eating area right behind the press box.
Man, I had a mushroom and cheese omelet.
Oh,
up there.
that's right. They have omelets there.
Woo-wee.
They really take
Oh,
it
Edward.
seriously.
I gotta go.
Yeah,
We'll get you a
Yeah,
pass.
but the food is
Yeah.
the food is good.
Yeah,
you
it is.
will not go hungry
No.
there.
No,
Trying to
you
get
won't.
my wife to work on the.
Be a couple of $100 lighter in the wallet, but you won't go hungry.
That's true.
Okay, so we're going back to the Seahawks for just
Yeah.
a minute. What do you think's going on with them? Why haven't they dominated as they did last year?
That's
Well,
a good question.
they're hurt. They were missing 7 starters in this game against the Raiders, and they're hurt in key areas along the offensive and defensive line. But they have just enough good players to just get by. I mean, they are getting it done with bubble gum and Scotch tape.
Mhm.
And also, Edward, I mean, all the other teams that have played them and are going to play them, they've all had like a year to prepare for them. They have tape on them. They know the tendencies. They know the players even better.
I mean, Sherman, what do you have, like 8 picks before, and we've got none this year?
No. Carr threw a pick. Sherman got him last Sunday.
Okay, there's
Yeah, he tried to throw a back shoulder thing, and Sherman just snuffed it out, picked it up, and he ran it back 25 yards and set up a field goal.
Yeah, the Raiders almost beat Seattle. That's amazing.
Took an onside
Yeah.
kick to really kind of shut the
Yeah,
door.
That was great. I mean,
They're playing better under Sperano. The last 4
Yeah.
games have been playing a lot better
That's
under
encouraging.
Sperano.
I don't
mean,
think
that first win is coming. I don't know
But
when, but it is
it
coming.
is. They're not going to lose 16 in a row. You
Okay.
just don't do that.
But here's the thing. Hey, the Niners go the way they're going. Harbaugh back,
Oh boy, that's a mess.
or does he go peace out? I'm going to Michigan.
You should have seen him after the game, Vernon. He was so terse and just
more than he
tight-lipped.
normally
more
is.
Normally, because we just didn't play good football.
Wow.
Didn't play good football. Every other question and every other answer was just didn't play good football. Just didn't play smart football.
Did you think Cap broke the plane?
Yeah, that was a tough one to call. And Vernon's talking about Kaepernick fumbled the ball on the second to last play of the game when the Niners looked like they were going to score, and the replays just weren't conclusive enough. And I think the referees had to say, yeah, the play stands.
And I think what got him off the hook, yeah, he fumbled, but you have to come down, you have to hit the ground and have control
Yeah.
of the ball. And he didn't do that.
Yeah.
So we have about a minute to go before
Right.
it's going to come.
We'll only get 10 seconds in. DeMarco Murray, MVP of the first half of the season for the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, yeah.
Good choice.
You Dallas Cowboys. Got me. How about them Cowboys?
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah.
Going back to Colin, though, before we got on the air, you were talking about him just not being a leader.
He's not a leader. He's a great athlete, but if he's a leader, he's got to take responsibility for speaking for his teammates. And I think when you are dismissive and rude and curt and defensive, that's not being a leader. And I'm sorry if you have some problems in the media. That's your problem. you shouldn't have a problem because nobody's ever criticized the guy. He's been a golden boy.
You mean I didn't step up and say, well, I cost us the game?
Yeah.
I mean, he fumbled the football.
Well, he got sacked 8 times, which wasn't his fault. But I don't understand where the source of his antipathy towards the media, where it comes from. He was never ripped in college. He was never ripped in high school.
Well,
He
he kind of was. I mean,
Was he?
He
Okay.
always played with a chip on his shoulder. He wanted to go to Cal,
Okay.
and he got a promise that Jeff Tedford, then the coach, was going to come to Turlock
Interesting.
and watch him
Did
practice,
not know this.
and he blew it off.
Interesting.
Tedford didn't show up. It's like the kid.
Wow.
It's like the kid waiting for a parent to show up to pick him up from school, and hours later,
Well, there you go.
they don't show. Yeah, it's
Maybe
like
he
that.
feels. Maybe he feels like the media. Where were you when I needed you?
That's why he got his satisfaction when he ran the pistol offense
Yeah.
over, around, and through when Cal played at
Oh,
Nevada.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was his coming out party to
Yeah.
the national media.
There you
All
go.
right, cut to our final commercial break here. Again, the theme is NBA random questions. Who led the league in assists in the 1980-81 season? Go back a little
Okay.
ways here. The first 3 emails, correct answer, going to win a free 3-day 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Email Edward at sportsecon101.com. The answer to this question, who led the league in assists in the 1980-81 season? And I'll give you a hint. He was on the Washington Bullets.
Ah,
Okay?
okay.
All right.
That's a
Stay
good
with
one.
us. We're going to have some closing comments on Sports Econ 101.
Bullets.
Oh,
Phil Chenier.
God, I was going to say Magic Johnson.
I was going to say Magic. I was going to say Magic. Phil
I
Chenier
figured this
Phil
one was
Chenier
all
still
harder,
with
so I had to give you a little
What a
bit.
league of assists. That's a lot of
him?
assists.
He played with Washington. Washington. I remember they had Phil Chenier and Kevin Porter, but that was before 1981 when they were champions.
Well, the last time we were really good was like 78.
78,
The
79.
tail end of Elvin Hayes' career.
Did you see him play when you were a little kid?
Sure did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't Wes also finish
You
it?
sure did. Yeah.
What was the
Over
reaction,
41.
Vern? Because you lived back there at the time. What was the reaction when the Warriors upset them in the playoffs in the finals? They must have been stunned because they were supposed to win that 4-0, and they got beaten 4-0.
Bothers Wes Unseld even today.
Does it?
Even today, yeah. It was one of those. How do we lose to those guys?
Yeah.
You know, and they.
I remember the
They
key
did.
game
He
was
went with the Knicks, though, didn't he? Wes Unseld, didn't he play with
No.
He always plays.
Plays
Always.
whole career.
Yeah. He was a general manager. Then
Who was
for
the
a while.
one who played with the Knicks back
Willis-
in the...
Willis
You're thinking of Mike.
Willis Reed.
Yeah, Willis Reed. But I always remember the game 2 here in San Francisco. They had to play at the Cow Palace because the Coliseum was taken up by an ice show. And they had the ball. The Bullets had the ball with 20 seconds to go, and they had a chance to win the game. Missed a shot, got the ball back, and took another shot. Missed another shot, and then George Johnson got the rebound. The game was over. And that was really when the Warriors won that game. It was like, wow, they won 2 in a row.
Yeah.
The Bullets are in trouble.
Yeah. I used to like watching Wes
Oh,
play. He
God.
was,
That was a miracle.
he is
season.
a Hall of Famer, isn't he?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so
Great
he's
player.
an immovable object. He was so thick, so
Yeah,
big and
big
thick,
guy.
couldn't move him.
I'll tell you a quick story before you get back to
Yeah.
this. The 4th game, and Vernon probably remembers this. Al Attles knew that the only way the Bullets were going to win this series was to do something drastic to Rick Barry because he was just going off. So Mike Reardon tried to get him into a fight, and he punched Barry in the head, literally punched him, and they called a foul. And then Barry goes, "What are you doing?" And Reardon comes, "Come on," like that. And Al Attles went nuts, ran out of the court.
Yeah,
to
around
get-
the court. Yep.
tried to get to Reardon, and Wes Unseld intercepted him, and the two of them are going like this, boom, 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 and they kicked Owls out of the game.
And then you forget it. In those times, we on the East Coast, we didn't get those games till 11:30.
Oh, they didn't show them live. That's right. Yeah.
Hell no.
So you had to
Wasn't
listen to
prime
radio.
time.
Huh?
And there was no flagrant
Listen.
foul back then.
I can remember the World Series being during the daytime.
And
We'd
listen to
be
the radio,
at practice in the fall, and our coach would be like, "Hey, how the Yankees doing?" You know.
Yeah, I know.
We used to watch it in school.
Yeah, I used to listen to it on the radio when I was in high school.
69 Mets, man.
Yeah.
I remember.
Fun.
Right? It was perfect.
That's
I
another
got
one.
to see Ron Swoboda.
That's another one. Brooks Robinson. God,
Cleon
how did we
Jones.
lose to those guys?
Yeah. Well, they won the next year.
That was
Yeah,
that was the year the New York teams beat all the Baltimore teams.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. You ever hear the story about Cleon Jones years later? He was having sex with his girlfriend in the back of his car. They had a big like a station wagon, and he didn't put anything on the windows. So this cop comes along, he sees this guy and his girlfriend making out, and he busts them both for indecency in public.
Well, something like that almost happened to me, but I didn't get arrested. But it's interesting. A guy called me one time named Cleon Jones, and he sounded older too, which would have been appropriate. But I don't know if it was the same way. How many Cleon Jones?
Cleon Jones, a good player. Through left-handed and bat right-handed. That was an interesting thing. You don't see too many of those guys. Through lefty,
Through
bat
lefty, batted right.
Yeah, my brother does that too. It's
Yeah.
like, wait, that's the opposite.
Yeah,
of
I
things.
know.
Yeah, a couple guys do that. Okay, ready? We'll close it up here. Sports Econ 101 is continuing with our last segment here. Edward Brown, Vern Glenn, and Bruce McGowan. Question: Who led the league in assists in the 1980-81 season? Excuse me.
And he was with the Washington Bullets.
He was with the Washington Bullets.
Would have been Phil Chenier or Kevin Porter.
Kevin Porter.
Kevin Porter, very
Yeah.
good, very good, my good friend.
Yeah.
I remember those guys. They should have beaten the Warriors, and the Warriors upset them in '75.
4-0. You want to,
Yeah.
In fact, I want to tell that quick story you were mentioning about Al Attles getting kicked out.
Well, there was Rick Barry was having a great series, and the Bullets were desperate. Game 4, they're playing at home, and Mike Reardon, who was kind of the enforcer of the Bullets, attacked Rick Barry, hit him in the head from behind, and they called a foul. And Barry sort of backed off and said, "What are you doing?" You know, because he had never had any problems with Mike Reardon. Mike Reardon just, come on, let's go. And Al Attles, the coach of the Warriors, became enraged. He was not somebody you want to trifle with. Ran out of the court, and before he could get to Reardon to punch him, Wes Unseld, who's 6'9", 280 pounds, intercepted Al. Al is not a big guy, but he's a tough guy. And the two of them were just trading punches, and they kicked Attles out of the game. He didn't get to watch the greatest game of the franchise since they've been on the West Coast, and it was the only game he's ever been kicked out of. How about that?
Did
Al Attles,
Rick Barry ever talk to Rick?
Yeah, I asked Rick Barry about that, and he goes, they were desperate. They were trying to do it. He says, I would have done the
Like
same
afterward,
thing.
though, did they did he ask?
Mike
him?
Reardon actually apologized to him. He says, hey, I had to do something. I had to get you in a fight, get you kicked out of the game. We were desperate.
Why don't he just do a clip like they do in, like get him on the knees?
Oh, yeah.
They
Well,
do in pro football.
Boy.
All right, guys, we're going to cut to our thoughts for the day. Wilma Rudolph.
Wilma Rudolph.
No, great Olympian.
Yeah.
Was the 20th of 22 kids
Whoa.
born prematurely at 4.5 pounds.
She had rickets, didn't she?
Well, she suffered infantile paralysis, polio, and scarlet fever.
Wow.
She wore a brace for a twisted leg. She eventually became the world's fastest woman.
Yeah.
Sort of like a Forrest Gump, winning 4 Olympic medals. Maybe that's
Wow.
what you need to do is you got to wear all that.
I always remember
braces and
seeing
stuff.
her in later years being interviewed. Such a dignified, wonderful, friendly woman. I mean, just
You talk about overcoming the odds.
yeah.
Jeez.
Okay.
Wow. I did not know all this.
So many times you could just cash in and go, well, that's it.
That's it.
21 siblings.
Yeah.
Whew, my mom was a busy woman.
Busy woman. Okay. And 300 million golf balls are lost or discarded in the United States alone every year.
Yeah.
And I can attest to that because I think half of them are mine. All right, tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We're going to be discussing sports topics from a business perspective and giving away more free vacations for answering sports trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Good night, America.
So long.